Hello, I'm Jennifer Sue. Also in this edition of Star News Asia, anti-smoking activist Judith Mackay talks with Deborah about her fight to end big tobacco's grip on Asia. Tobacco companies have dubbed her as one of the top 3 people to fear most in the world. And Judith Mackay is flattered by the notoriety. The former medical doctor traded in her scrubs to start a relentless anti-smoking campaign. She tells Deborah why decades of her work in Asia is beginning to pay off.
Dr. Mackay, you've been described by tobacco firms as one of the 3 most feared people in the world. Are you proud of that?
I think it's a very nice title, actually. Yes, I would say I am. Yes.
How did you first get on the anti-smoking campaign?
I was working in hospital medicine in Hong Kong, and we had a maxim on the male medical ward that we never admitted a non-smoker. All the patients were coming in with cancer, heart disease, bleeding duodenal ulcers, chronic bronchitis, all of the things caused by smoking. So I realized that, in a sense, somebody had to go a bit higher up the river and stop these people falling in.
So how did you even start? How did you even get their attention?
Well, I went in the very early days to Cambodia, and I remember going to see the Minister of Telecommunications, who was in charge of TV, and the minute I walked in the door, he said to me, please don't tell me to ban tobacco advertising. We can't afford to. It's the only revenue we've got for tobacco is tobacco advertising. And I said, no, that's not what I'm here for. And he said, what are you here for? And I said, well, how about 2:30 to 4:30? And he said, well, we don't have it on. It's children's TV. I said, precisely. But I said, if you just start by banning, this is what we did in Hong Kong. You know, 2:30 to 4:30 to 6:30 to 8:30 to 10:30, then off. You can do incremental movements.
Overall, how does today compare to 40 years ago when you first started?
I think 40 years ago, I would have said there are millions of people in Asia who don't know that smoking is harmful to them. I think that's no longer true. There may be the odd pocket here or there, but essentially I think almost everybody in Asia now knows that smoking is harmful. Singapore was one of the first countries to introduce bans. You know, countries like Thailand, Taiwan, even Mongolia has got a much better law in place, tobacco control law, than many countries in the West.
I read that you keep a list of all of the insults that have been hurled at you.
I do.
How long is it?
Oh, it's quite long. Of saying I was like Hitler and that I, this woman and who can shut her up and, she's causing more harm than good and causing smokers, they even said causing smokers not to be able to smoke at work and having to go out in the streets. They're going to get colds and flu and colds and get hit by cars.
Was there ever a point where you actually felt threatened enough? I mean, receiving death threats is a very scary thing. Was there a point in your career where you thought, I don't want to do this anymore?
Oh, no. I don't think I ever thought I don't want to do it anymore. I said if I now disappear, or if I am found, under a bus, or if I'm found at the bottom of Hong Kong Harbour, everybody is now going to say it's the tobacco industry until proved otherwise. It's a great protection for me.
What do you say to the argument it's an individual's choice, really, to smoke or not to smoke?
I don't believe that it actually is a personal freedom. I think because it is addictive, I think that smoking is a bondage, not a freedom. And every smoker I have ever met in my life, they know it's harmful, they want to quit. You just look at smokers having multiple attempts to quit smoking. They don't want their children to smoke. This is not a freedom, this is actually a bondage, like all the other addictive drugs.
Have you ever smoked a cigarette before?
Oh, yes, I did. I was only 16 when I left school and went to university to do medicine. I was very young. I smoked because this was in the 60s, and it was frightfully sort of avant-garde and rebellious to do that.
Who are the tobacco companies targeting today?
The target is always young people. In fact, all the recent surveys are showing they're starting by 10 or 15. So all of the marketing and promotion, the tobacco companies say it's to brand switch, but actually very, very few people brand switch. Once you're stuck into one particular brand of cigarettes, there is amazing brand loyalty that tends to persist lifelong.
In a country like China, where an estimated 300 million males smoke, how do you even begin?
China, for example, has already, about 15 years ago, banned all advertising on the print and electronic media. That's not a bad start. They've got health warnings on their cigarettes. They've created a lot of smoke-free areas in public places. They need to strengthen these up now. For example, the outdoor billboards are city by city. And that's hopeless. I mean, they actually need a national law. But with the Beijing Olympics coming up, China is very keen to run a good Olympics and a smoke-free component of that, not just in the Olympics and the stadium and the village, but really in the hotels and with the taxis and with the smoke-free areas in public places. It's a huge opportunity.
At what point do you say you can sit back and say, I've accomplished everything I wanted to?
I haven't accomplished everything I want to do, but for me, the really cheering aspect is that whereas 20, 25 years ago, I was virtually on my own, now there are people in every single country you can mention, governments and non-governmental people working now in tobacco control.
And for more of Deborah's talk with anti-tobacco lobbyist Judith Mackay, head to our website at www.startv.com/Star News Asia. There you can also see our previous guests as well.